Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Well, happy Friday. Happy holidays. One of my gifts that I plan to give the rest of the world this Christmas season is awareness about the dangers of eating while driving. I think it's a very underrated risk that we all talk about, that we never talk about. And unfortunately, it's one thing that gets a lot of people angry very quickly. I used to carpool with one of my coworkers. We can't carpool anymore because he got very upset about my commenting on his eating and driving. He is obese, and the discussion. I don't even comment on his everyday eating. That's his choice. But when we were in the car, he was eating a greasy burger, and he got grease all over his hands, his clothes, and all the steering wheel and all that. And he was going like this to make the turn, and it scared the crap out of me. And that's when I really started my activism about the dangers of eating and driving. We were not running late or anything. I asked if he would like to pull somewhere to finish his food before we got to the campus, and he got very upset at that. And he put the burger on the dashboard. So now it looked like it was going to spill everywhere. And he put one hand behind his back and continued to drive. I said, "See, I could drive with one hand." And then he said, "What's the matter with you?" And he started shouting obscenities and just zipping through the streets. It scared the crap out of me. Thank God he ran into a red light, and I jumped out of the car and walked the rest of the way to campus. And I vowed to talk extensively about the dangers of eating while driving. And to be honest, I've had times where I've eaten and driven before, but not anymore. Now that I talk so much about it, and what really hits me is that I've been involved in a number of accidents, some that were my fault, some that were other people's fault. And what really hits me about those accidents is that thankfully I've never gotten hurt. I've never hurt anybody. But an accident takes less than a second to happen. Less than 1 second of distraction will probably cause an accident. And yet the fallout of it, right, the getting your car repaired or replaced, or God forbid if you really do get injured doing it, or the fallout of missing appointments to take care of that, right? Right now I teach at GCU. If I were to get involved in something like that, the fallout of missing class and all that can last a lot longer than the couple of seconds you get distracted while you're driving. So it really goes to show the trade-off, right? Pull off somewhere, finish your food or finish your phone call or whatever it is. Just don't do it behind the wheel, please. And unfortunately, that's such a hard. So my holiday, because I don't have anybody to exchange gifts with, I figured the next best thing is to give the gift of raising awareness about not eating while driving. See, would you ever consider eating while doing anything else that was on par with the dangers of operating a 5-ton bullet? Right. Think about what are some dangerous jobs that people do. Right. Operating construction equipment, or God forbid, if you're a doctor, you're operating on somebody, or maybe you're working with dangerous chemicals, right? Or maybe you're a pilot, right? For me personally, I teach at GCU and Phoenix College. Probably the most dangerous thing about my job is the commute, right? Or maybe another source of danger is there's a lot of violence on school properties these days, right? Those are probably the only two dangers that I face on an everyday basis, right? Thank God. But you can imagine other jobs where that might not be so true, right? Would you ever dream of eating while operating on a patient, or while working with radiological material, or dangerous chemicals, even if the chemicals aren't toxic, right? Explosive. Would you consider eating while working with dynamite or with sodium metal? I mean, you're probably not going to get poisoned by either of those, but they're explosive, and one wrong step could set off an explosion, right? If you wouldn't do that, why would you eat while behind the wheel, right? That's probably one of the most dangerous. Most people, that's probably the most dangerous thing you'll do day in and day out, right? And yet we don't bat an eye about eating while doing it, right? So don't. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.